Okay, here we are, live. Only a couple minutes late, and I think everything is working. I actually checked the sound ahead of time, so it should be the correct input. Alright, yes, looks like everything is good. Camera is ready. I found a better camera angle this time for drawing, so that should be good. I'm going to give a minute for people to get notified, etc. And like I mentioned in the community post, I think, or in the description here maybe, there's obviously a chance that an air raid siren will interrupt the stream with missile attack. So if it does, I will be taking a break. Hi Miles, welcome. So if that happens, I'll be taking a break to go be a good citizen and go to the shelter, and then resume after that's done. So, hello Hanix, good to see you too. So I don't know how long that break would be if it happens. Echo, I don't know what the cause of that might be, or maybe, hold on, maybe I don't need that. Let me know if that's any better. I think there were two audio inputs that were active for some reason, so now it should just be the microphone. Let me know if that's better. But like I was saying, so if that happens, I will be taking a break, and I'll leave a little note on the screen, and obviously I'll be back as soon as we're allowed to leave the shelter. So it could be 10 minutes, could be 20 minutes, could be 30 minutes, I don't know. Hopefully it won't happen and interrupt things, but we can't control that. So, okay, good, glad it's better now. And yeah, and obviously I'll be able to update from the shelter from there, because there is phone service, so I can go to the stream chat and just let you guys know if I have any updates. But again, odds that happening aren't that great. It's been on average like one siren per day. So we had one like 2:30 in the morning yesterday. Woke me up. And so if there's one tonight, it could be any time, but hopefully not more streaming for the next hour or so, hopefully. So let's switch to the other camera. Video capture. Let's see. Okay, there we go. See, I have a better angle this time. I figured out I could actually put my webcam mount on the other side of my desk. And now I have a better overhead view. Although yeah, right, that's correct angle, yes. It's a little trippy for me because it's like reversed. But I do play games occasionally. I used to play Dream Tank Match a lot, but it got a little messed up when I had to get a new hard drive for the computer, and I've been meaning to try and clone the old one to get the emulator to work again and to get my files back, because I have it on an old hard drive. That was the previous one, but I haven't been able to manage to organize that yet. So I've been trying to get to that. Hopefully it will, it went 720p again. There we go. I don't know why it defaults to that. Now I have to change the here. Get it all on the screen here. Now I want to make sure you can see the actual drawing. Let's see. Show more. Okay. Maybe I have to make it raised higher then. Well, good enough. Let's see. Yeah. Close enough to the top of the page. I can draw anybody. It depends on what we feel like. I know there was a request in the community post to draw Erwin, since it was her birthday this week. Although if I went by that rule, every week would be a different character, because it's a birthday for a Girls Und Panzer character basically every week, if not more than one. I figure we might as well try her, since I haven't drawn her before, and another chance to try drawing a hat that hopefully won't be as oversized as last time when I drew Mika. So we'll try that. I can do pepperoni in the future stream, or if we have time tonight, depending on how all this goes. But so we'll get started before I waste too much time. Let's see. Oh, there we go. That's from last time. All right. It's going to get unwieldy. Give me a second. Random papers are in the way here. There we go. Yeah, I know. I saw the post on the Japanese Girls Und Panzer official account that announced that like I said, it really is like feels like every day sometimes it's another character's birthday because there's so many in the show right now, like between the original season and their film Das finale. So we're up to day 186, which means we're getting close to 200. At which point I might make another update video of my drawing in general. We'll see. I don't even remember what it says here. It says "Haftarecha kamocha." It's Hebrew translates to "love your fellow as yourself." It's a very classic Jewish saying, and it has my name on it in Hebrew on the bottom, also my first and middle names. So it's meant to be used for studying, but it's also kind of useful as a nice stand for drawing. So I've been using it in lieu of like a proper drawing stand. It does work. Decent height. I don't know what happened there. Anyway, so might as well get started. And also, obviously, since I know there's been a lot of stuff in the news about my neck of the woods lately. If anybody does have general questions, I could try and answer. I'm not going to get into like any of the like political stuff about what's going on or whatever because I don't want to get into it on the channel too much. But anything about what actually happens when the siren goes off or whatever, anything like that, I could try and answer as best I can. I actually got a chance to see for the first time last week, a couple of days, no, Thursday or Friday? Thursday, actually, some of the damage. Nothing major, but I saw a few storefront windows that were blown out by shock waves, not from direct impacts, near where I work, which is something you don't see every day, I guess. So, it's been an interesting week. But luckily, my job is essential, so I don't have to worry about work getting canceled. So there's that. At least everything in that front is operating basically as normal from my end, basically. So I'm just going to be referencing her base image on the wiki as I've done for a number of these streams, since I'm still not really at the point yet where I feel comfortable just drawing completely from my own mind, basically. Oh yeah, if you count voice actors, then then you're gonna be doing birthdays every day. Then there's the director, you can do his too. I don't know what his birthday is, but there's you can do quite a bit in terms of franchise birthdays based on that. Yeah, let's see which one I want to do. Let's see. That's good enough. I'm drawing Irwin. If you're familiar with Girls Und Panzer or not, I don't know because I don't know if you've watched too much of the channel, but basically my favorite anime and what I make most of my my videos about. Actually, hold on one second. I'm just going to mute this. I have people in the background. Hold on a second. Okay, I wasn't sure if you had seen it or not. So yeah, I'm drawing Irwin. I just took a quick second just to make sure there's not too much background noise because don't want to impose my roommates too much, but also I rather not have people just chatting in the background. Yeah, I don't know if you could hear it or not, but I could hear it loud enough that I felt like it was worth just keeping it a little bit quieter. So let's see. It's a little drawing card's a little bit different in terms of. I think she has narrower eyes, I think, than some of the other characters. I don't know if it's just an expression thing based on what I'm seeing on the site, or if it's just how she's drawn. But I'll try and see how I can match that. Let's see. Let's see. a lot of her pictures, like her eyes are drawn, and eyebrows are drawn almost like just straight lines practically, which is interesting. You don't see that so often. And I'll try and, like usual, glance back at the chat every so often. I know there's been fan discussions about that for a while in terms of the ship size. I know people figured out which historical carriers the Girls Und Panzer school ships are officially based off of. The problem is the physics of what we've seen on the ships doesn't necessarily always match, the real ship size, like especially in the Das Finale 4 OVA. It was the fourth one? No, fifth. No, Das Finale 3 OVA with the Wild West section. But I think that could be explained by being like a matter of we see it there, how the girls perceive it in terms of how big it all looks, as opposed to the actual size, basically. Because yeah, that would be a little bit prohibitively large for even a modern mega carrier, basically. Yeah, there are some neat, like I think that mostly on the JP side, where like neat like fan graphic-y stuff that people have come out with like theory craft about those. Over the course of the whole series, really they've been improving. I mean, you can see a marked improvement in even the last couple episodes of season one. I know there was when it first came out before I wasn't watching it then, but I remember reading about when it first came out that was delayed for a long time. Like it was like I forget how many, it was weeks or months. Maybe about to wait for the last 3 episodes for the Ori vs. Cormoran mini battle, because they're really working on the animation for that, the 3D and 2D blend. So that was the first big jump. Then obviously their film, it was also a big jump, and then Das Finale, you can really see it's like reach an additional level of quality, which is a big part of why I really do not mind at all the wait. And obviously it keeps things, that keeps the franchise, I guess alive in a way. Obviously the wait's not ideal for people, but there is, it's not over, it's not over as fast as it could be otherwise. And also they have the other thing, the little shorts, the humor shorts manga adaptation coming out, I think, next year. So that'll probably be out before Das Finale 5, so that, I don't know how much that's going to be. And then obviously, they can always figure out something else to do after that, because there are going to be, like if it's making money, there's more material to work with, it's not going to just overdo it, then by all means keep it going. But I do think they probably will want to end the main story of the characters, these Miho and friends, by the end of Das Finale 6, I think. Don't want to push things on too long, although you could bring them back, like in college or something. I think there are ways to do that well, but it's up to the writers. And I guess whoever counts the money at Bandai. Hopefully they'll stop being as annoying with copyright claims, but that's a separate problem for those of us who make videos on this stuff have to deal with. I really hope it's not going to be as big an issue with Yamato related videos, because I want to start doing some of those as well. So we'll see with my first one how that goes. Yeah, I do wonder though how much of Das Finale 5 is going to be tank battle, just because you can see it okay, right? The shadows are no weird. The pencil isn't super dark, but I think it's visible. Because there's only really one battle left unless I want to show a lot of the other semifinal, or rather the core. Yeah, well, unless I want to show, it would be Cormoran versus continuation if they want to do that as like the third place match, basically. So they could do that. Otherwise, there'll be time for a lot of more slice of lifey stuff, I guess, as we get to the conclusion of the main thing. This goes down here still. So we have plenty of things to look forward to. Yeah, there really isn't a whole lot of news most of the time because it comes out pretty slowly. Like mostly it's the director on Twitter who will occasionally tweet something very cryptic, like working on storyboards, and that's really all he tweets. So get little tidbits of information that will eventually filter to, I guess, more mainstream news, for lack of a better term, as things get worked on. So, I did realize one good thing about the war going on is there probably won't be any noisy protests outside tonight. So one less, at least I won't have to worry about that interrupting the stream. Just missiles. So the little things you notice in life, I guess, sometimes. Yeah, we'll get to the hat soon, probably, because you don't really get to see much of her hair under the hat most of the time. She's one of the more unique hairstyles out of anybody in the show, basically. Pretty unique among anime characters in general, actually. It's kind of neat. Kind of goes like that. I mentioned before in a previous stream also, like it's kind of interesting as you draw stuff to just see how much character just the hair adds. Like it could look like multiple different characters until you start adding the hair, and that really starts to differentiate who you're actually drawing, even if it's not a particularly like rare hairstyle. No, it isn't even them. There's different protests we get over here. There's two different types of protests that both annoy me, but yeah, it's loud and it's right near my place. And then the worst part is when it blocks the highway when I have to go to work or go to the gym, and I get really mad and I just want them all arrested. Because once it starts inconveniencing my ability to travel places I have to go, I don't care about their rights to protest anymore. It doesn't matter who it is, if I agree or not. Usually it's disagree with these protests, given what they are. But it wouldn't matter if I agree with them also. Just don't block the highway. It makes nobody like you, and it's not going to do anything for your cause beyond, I guess, get attention in the media, which I guess is part of the goal. But I don't like it. Protest somewhere else. It doesn't bother me. Is basically my view on that sort of thing. Like I said, that's not going to be an issue tonight because I don't think there's any legal restrictions. I think they kind of loosened the restrictions on gatherings, but it's still limited to smaller gatherings because you don't want too many people in the same place where there's not room in a shelter in case sirens happen. So it's kind of it's like I was pleasantly surprised when my gym decided to be open, and not only open, we had a decent size crew for the class Thursday night. So that was nice to see. And then it was also nice to see it's a little bit too far. It was also nice to see that my usual place to eat after was also open. But I might be the only person in the entire city of Tel Aviv eating out Thursday night, which is mildly amusing to me. But it's what I usually do before I go to work after the gym, so I was not going to change my schedule for anybody. Doesn't matter if they have missiles. Doesn't matter if causing other problems. I have things to do, and I want to eat my burger after the gym. Just glance back again. Yeah, like I said, it's really just don't make people not able to travel to their jobs or other engagements they have. Like that's where it gets to be a problem for me. Especially also if it's not really a relevant place for the protest. Like I'm not near anything that would be directly relevant to what they're mad about. Any kind of protest. So it's like, so why are you here? I know, and the reason is because it's close to where people live, and the highway is right here, and it's like, okay, great, but just leave me alone. Just want to go to the gym, or I just want to go to work. Work is really the more annoying. I had to walk 20 minutes the other week to get around the protest to find a bus that was functioning. I was not a happy camper. Okay, that's the brim of the hat, kind of. Clean it up a little bit later or after the stream. So let's see. This is a rather tall hat, actually. Now that I'm looking at it more closely. Let's see. Kind of like a little bit off. A little bit off with the placement of it, actually. Should get a better eraser. But it was kind of weird seeing, usually a relatively active scene, especially on a Thursday night, where Tel Aviv is usually the most active, being very quiet this week. It wasn't like unnerving weird, but it was just, you notice that it's like unusual. And a little bit more wary, I guess, of what's going on. We do some of this. Keep it more or less in proper space here. This should kind of be a little bit lower. Yeah, that's better. All right, I'll fix that later. Yeah, I mean the hat will probably not be as oversized as Mika's hat in the last drawing. So I do find it funny that basically the universal response to the hat being extra big was she'll just hide her stolen goods in there or hide her food in there or something, which is in character, and I would not be surprised at all if that was a gag in one of the MLLSD, the short comedic comics that to just say, yeah, of course she hides her stuff in there. Where else would she hide her stolen goods? Yeah, I've also mentioned before that I found for some reason, not as much with hats, but just drawing clothing has been easier for me to pick up than drawing like figures for some reason. I don't know why. If it's something, just a personal thing, or if it is that way for other artists too. But each one using a reference, I usually find it easier to do them. I don't know why. It's kind of neat. I guess I could make a living as a clothing, concept artist maybe one day if I ever felt like doing that. But I don't particularly plan on being an artist professionally. I have lots of books to write, lots of manga to write. I think I have mentioned before too, I am sort of drawing the manga now. I mean, I'm not doing the real art, but I have been doing for my artists what they call name sketches over in Japan, which is basically like equivalent to like a storyboard for animation, where I draw a very, very rough sketch of kind of what I envision, and then let the actual artist then take that and use it as the base starting point, so he has more than like a blank canvas to begin from. Obviously, a lot's going to change because I am not particularly good at art, especially not when it comes to things like perspective and scene composition and stuff like that. But Mara said it'll help him speed things up a little bit because we're pretty behind. So I'm happy to help out any way I can, basically, with that, because he's been having a tough time lately on a personal level. So any way I can help that's relatively simple, it's doable, I'm happy to do for him, because he's been doing great work for me for like 3 years now. So let's see, kind of got that. Kind of tell what hat it is now, almost. Yeah, we're not going to have another wide usage situation this time, I think. Other models? Oh yeah, there's always going to be plenty of character name overlap in anime. It's kind of funny to compare the difference. I mean, I even did that myself. I have a Miho in Amaranth Angels, but her personality cannot be more different than Girls Und Panzer Miho's. So just did that as a little reference to the show. But like I said, the character is a very, very different personality. So let's see. Yeah, I might redo the brim again at some point, but I think we're getting this because it is Erwin's most defining feature, the hat. So let's draw this in. And like that will finish a full thing on the stream. I do plan to go for roughly an hour. Like usual, I will probably clean this up and finish it up more or less over the course of the week. I have something else I'm in the middle of drawing that I want to finish first. But then I will continue with this one. That's the trick I found to getting more use out of this sketchbook, is doing drawings that take multiple days, so I don't have to use one per day. The hard part's going to be drawing little emblems here, because that will really make it clear what hat we're drawing. Otherwise, it could be anything. Yeah, I think I'm going to try my next video, which is probably going to be the Yamato one. It's going to be a very different format than previously, but one that I think you might enjoy. It's going to be letting me indulge my history nerd side a little bit, while still being about an anime. So I'm not going to spoil it too much, but it's so far been fun to start working on it, and we'll see. Also, it's going to be long. It'll be probably at least 20 minutes, if not closer to 30. I won't know for sure till I finish editing the audio and see how much gets cut out from, white noise or just me redoing takes and stuff. But it's going to be longer, significantly longer than my usual videos. But it's a fun concept that I wanted to try doing in general, and especially for Yamato, I think it works well. So we'll see how that goes. It's part of why I didn't do a video this week, because that was going to be too much work to get done on a weird week. Okay, it kind of looks like what we're doing. Now we have the little eagle up there. Little non-problematic eagle. It's kind of diamond shape. Let's check the time, actually. Okay, we still have a good half an hour left. That's good. Even factoring in being a little late. Also, what would be helpful too is if there is any kind of siren, I'll know in advance that it's coming, because we have a pretty good system now where anywhere between like 4 and 10 minutes ahead of time we'll get one of those emergency alerts like you might get sometimes in other places where there's like flash flood warning and stuff like that. So we get imminent siren warning, imminent missile warning. And then we'll also get from the government home front command app, there will be a little notification noise that plays that says, expect something in the next few minutes. And then after that, when it's actually time, then we'll get the actual warning where it's a louder version of the real siren, ironically, on my phone. And then the real one will sound around the same time. And then that's the cue to skedaddle for a few minutes. Because I have been pretty cavalier about going to shelters for like little rockets from other places and stuff like that. But for real missiles, I feel like I should probably be a little more responsible with my safety. So, and also I've gotten kind of used to going at work because at work I'm required to go as a security guard because you have to make sure everybody else is there. So obviously you have to be there and all that. So I guess I got conditioned, to go. So now I'm just used to that even when I'm home. Luckily it hasn't happened while I'm in the middle of eating. At least maybe once it happened this war, but not a common occurrence, fortunately, because then I'd actually have to think if I want to go or not. And I shouldn't be thinking about that, but I do. There we go. That kind of looks like the bird, more or less. Yeah, it's weird how we get used to these things over here. We shouldn't get used to it, but the past 2 years, to one degree or another, it's almost become routine for me. I guess that means we'll appreciate, proper peace and quiet once this is all over, whenever that actually ends up being. We have no idea when that'll be yet. So, till then, just gonna keep on keeping on as best we can. It is kind of fun to hang out at the shelter at work with. I'm not going to say who it is because I'm not going to, I don't want to talk too much about where I work, but somebody who's not a nobody, not a relevant person in this country, but somebody who's significant enough that they have security at their house. I get to hang out with him sometimes in the shelter and just chat about, where did it come from? Were there any hits somewhere? So it's a little bit surreal in that sense too, I guess. But also has a much nicer shelter than I have here. It has a proper air filter. Not that we're going to need that, I don't think, but it has one just in case. It has an actual bathroom built into it that you could. No one ever uses it, but it could be used if you're stuck there, for longer than a short period of time. The one here actually does have one too, but it's not maintained at all, and it's not really. There's no curtain to use it behind, so it'd be a little awkward. So hopefully we won't need that at all, because that would be weird. The longest we've been in there is an hour. I think last Friday night when this first kicked off with Iran. So that was when we had the biggest barrage and the longest shelter time. It was about a dozen of us in there in my building. We have my upstairs neighbors, the people in my apartment, and the one guy who lives on his own in the third apartment here. So it was a little social event. I joked that I only socialize with my neighbors when we're in the bomb shelter. Probably not ideal, but it is how it is. They're all away. I don't know where they went this week. They all disappeared this week. So I don't know if they just wanted to get away from this area where we've had more than average sirens, or if they're just because their school is closed right now because of war. So there's no need to go to their parents' places, I guess, and hang out there. I don't know. I guess they'll be back at some point. We'll see. I'll say hi to them. Yes, you guessed correctly. We are doing Irwin. We'll see how far we can get. We still have a good half an hour remaining, and also, like I mentioned, if we do get interrupted, I will try and make up the time after I get back to give you guys a full hour. Not counting the potential dead air. Although you'll get to hear the noise potentially. I don't know how it'll come out across on the microphone, but you might get to hear, the sounds of the siren, the sounds of an interception, Hopefully nothing worse than that, because any impacts nearby would not be ideal. It would kind of inconvenience my day tomorrow, because it would already one of the roads I need to take for work was closed for a day and a half because of damage. So I'd rather not have more of that. Let's have a little epaulet over here. There we go. The red one over here. Kind of like that. Oh yeah, I'm in Israel. If I wasn't, if I, yeah, you guys, I explained more of that earlier. But yes, I'm in Israel. So it's been a busy week, an interesting week. So but yeah, I mainly mentioned that because there was a chance we'll get interrupted. So I wanted to just make it known ahead of time in case it happens that you're not caught off guard by a me disappearing, or b sudden strange noises that you shouldn't be hearing on a live stream usually. So like I said, hopefully it won't happen, but I wanted to prepare for that so that things are as minimally inconvenienced as possible. Oops, that was a pen, or a pencil rather. Yeah, at some point I'll also hopefully be getting a good drawing pen, so that in future drawings I could do the final lines with pen instead of having to just do dark pencil. But the relative who's going to bring that for me is currently stuck in America, so when she gets back, I will have that, which will be a nice little upgrade to my art supplies. Kind of goes to there. Still not we're brave enough with art to do anything color wise beyond the colored pencils I already have. So those will, like colored markers or that kind of thing, will maybe come at some point, because I do plan on keep doing this even after I finish the full year of drawing by keeping track of the days. I'll probably stop marking every day on here eventually. I know that's a Hebrew phrase he was referring to. It means like saving a life, basically. It's like things we're able to do or things we should prioritize, uh, even over other things, even over other religious things, like things we usually wouldn't do religiously that we can do if it's to save somebody's life, basically. So that's what Miles is referring to, I think. I guess it kind of applies to leaving the stream if if something goes like I to take care of myself beyond and not endanger myself for no reason. So so yeah, kind of a little bit further out maybe. Yeah, yeah. I have to get better at figuring out how to visually. I guess practice will just get there, but in terms of proportions on certain things here. Let's see, we have another square to draw, or rectangle over here. I have thought about also at some point, it'd be too much of a hassle to actually pull off, but to put on my anchovy cosplay, in anticipation of a siren, and then just go into the shelter with that on and not explain to anybody what I'm doing. Just be kind of a weird, nice way to break tension, I guess, to just show up in a little bit strange costume. To I can go a little further down to the bomb shelter. Like there's like that meme to like how you dress for like your wedding versus how you dress for like something more mundane. So like how I dress for a wedding versus how I dress for going to the bomb shelter. So that could be kind of funny, but just the time it takes to put the costume on, especially the wig, if I wanted to go full on, would really not be worth the time it would take. Like there would not be enough time necessarily between getting the pre-warning and then the actual siren, and I don't want to put it on for hours in anticipation of something that might or might not happen. So that'll be just a meme concept in my brain. And I'll see. If there's a time, if I have a good like 10 minutes at some point, I could at least put on the uniform, not necessarily the wig. That the wig itself takes like 5 minutes to get on, so that's not going to really happen. But the uniform I can put on and really confuse people who don't know what Girls and Panzer is, considering some aspects of the uniform. I've gotten some questioning looks occasionally. Nothing like worse. No one's like got mad at me for wearing it. Everyone's got really confused. But I have got some questioning looks a couple of times. Like once when I drove myself to a convention, I had to go through an army checkpoint from my parents' place to where the convention was in Jerusalem, and I drove through the military checkpoint with the costume on. And my brother, who was in the car with me, let me know that the one of the soldiers there like was about to stop me, but then he realized what it was and just kind of laughed. I guess he realized I'm wearing a green wig, not doing anything nefarious. It's just a bit of a wacky costume. For those conventions, I try and drive there when I can in the costume. I've driven there in my Kongming costume. It's also kind of fun. Just to add, if anyone notices, this kind of just adds an extra little bit of laugh to their day, I guess. So I kind of like doing that when I can. By the way, if anybody hasn't already, apparently I only realized this recently. There's a live action version of that anime, like an adaptation made in Japan, so it's a good live action adaptation that's out on watchable on Netflix now, and it's actually really good. So if you liked the anime, your boy Kong Ming, then definitely check out the live action version. It's 10 episodes and it gets beyond the anime where it got, so it's kind of neat in that respect. Also, like I'm getting into new territory now once I'm past episode 6. And I think there's a movie sequel also that's out in Japan but not elsewhere yet, I think. So that's also exciting. No, Netflix, it has English subtitles on Netflix now, so I think it's in global. I don't know if it's global or America. I don't know. I use VPN on Netflix sometimes, but not always, so I don't keep track of which Netflix I'm on at a given moment usually, but I think it's on general Netflix now. So it should be findable there if you're interested in watching that. But like it is crazy to see is like you can adapt anime well, you just have to actually follow the source material. Like there's some minor changes, but it's all pretty minimal. The main change that I noticed that I'm not as big a fan of is the music is different, which might be a rights issue, or it could be just they want to do something different for the live action version. So I'm not going to blame them for that. Music in the live action show isn't bad at all, but it is different. So if you watch the anime, be prepared for the various songs that you might be familiar with from that to not be there. So that's the main thing to note as as part of the adaptation changes. The new music isn't bad. It's just not as good as the anime stuff. So I'm not gonna put on during the stream because again, the problem is with this also is like the it's like so random when it's gonna happen. So like I could have it on for hours and nothing's gonna happen, and all till like 2 a.m. and I'm not gonna sleep in it because that would be very uncomfortable. So like I said, if I do have a 10-minute warning, I can probably get most of it on. But the wig is the worst part, so I really don't want to put it on in the event nothing's gonna happen. Like, if we get a 30-minute warning, that'd be perfect, but we usually don't get those. So, like, if we did somehow get a 30-minute advance notice, I would do it. But just the time is just not there. It's not worth the effort if nothing happens. So, but you all can, if you haven't seen it yet, you can watch my April Fool's video of Anchovy in the gym, though. So, get to see me doing some silly things in the costume. That was a painful shoot. Not in a physical pain, it was just hard to move in that costume, as one might expect. Especially because the shirt's a little small on me because I've been working out a lot more the last couple of years. So my shoulders are a little bit, wider than they used to be. So I have to get a replacement shirt at some point for it to be a little more comfortable. But other priorities to deal with first before I do that. How do I put it on? Well, I have a hairnet to tie down my normal hair because my actual hair is very long right now. I've just been growing it out for a while, so I have a hairnet and some pins to kind of keep my regular hair just flat on my head as much as I can, and then pull on the wig and put some more bobby pins in it to hold it in place. I mean, that wouldn't be as big an issue for like just wearing it for a short while for a meme. If I want to wear it for like a convention or for filming stuff, or I'm going to be doing it, wearing it for a good hour at least, then I want to put the pins in so it stays in properly. So it is time consuming and a hassle. But if I then do have time to do it while this is all going on, I will definitely be taking a picture, and I will post it on a community post though. So it might happen. I wouldn't expect it to happen. I'm not going to promise anything, but it's been on my mind since this began. So it could happen, and it would be funny if it did, especially if there's a lot of people in there because I'd be really confused, and that's the best part of it. So let's see. I got the little pocket here. It's actually weird. Like I've noticed. I'm probably just gonna be out. Probably not gonna finish this by the time an hour's up. So it probably would just be Irwin as far as we could get, and then I'll wrap it up, and then I'll finish up what we were working on off stream, and then post it on the community post later this week. But there actually are, like, the more longer this has gone on, the more sounds I hear that like sound like it might be a siren. So you like pause and like your ears perk up for a minute, and then it's not, and then you just go back to normal activities, like things like motorcycle engine revving sometimes, or certain police sirens or fire sirens sometimes give that a little bit. That's why they change the siren sometimes to police here to the more European sounding one. If you know what that sounds like, it sounds much more differentiated from the air raid siren. But you could hear what that means. I'm sure there's YouTube videos that play the actual sound, so you could hear what it officially sounds like, in a real event and all that. But yeah. So I don't know if that technically qualifies as PTSD. I don't think PTSD. I'm not like, it's not traumatic sound. I'm not like freaking out when it happens, but I am like take a second to notice, like, wait a minute, is that a siren? No, it's not. So also now since we have the early warning systems that work so well now, if you didn't get an early warning, it's probably not a real siren. So you have that also as kind of helps in terms of knowing what sound is what, basically. And like I said, also, I mentioned earlier, though, the sound the app makes to warn you is louder and more unnerving than the actual siren, which is kind of funny to me. Wait, did I switch things? No, here it is. But I guess that is the point, because that definitely gets your attention when it actually hits, so you know that it's time to move. And it wakes you up middle of the night like it did to me yesterday. So it's kind of baggy sleeves. So I'm probably gonna get this a little bit off, but it's fine. I'm not. One of the best things I've picked up as I started to draw is I've gotten good at not being a perfectionist with it, because I know to expect that of myself is way too much at this point. Like doing this for not even a year, like only barely over half a year at this point. So expecting too much is just going to be a road to frustration and disappointment. So I decided pretty early on not to worry about that too much. As long as it's pretty decent, as long as I can see improvement as I work on it, then I will be I will be happy. It's kind of there. Let's see. Yeah, drawing the tank behind her would take another stream, probably. Some point I should try drawing tanks. I don't know how that would compare to drawing people. Probably a little bit easier, just because it's more straight lines and more just. I don't know the best way to say it. It's just like the proportions will be easier to manage probably than trying to manage people. I've always been halfway decent at drawing like spaceships, for example. Like I drew all of the concept art for Amaranth Angels, but then I obviously passed it off to a professional for proper concept art. But the base idea, I drew them all myself because I am somewhat okay at spaceships, somewhat okay at swords, and I'm getting a little bit better at other stuff, which will make it easier for my artist as well because I could show him what I want to do in a better way than giving him just a couple different references from the internet that I find of other characters and stuff. So, got that. Let's see if we can get to at least the second pouch or pocket before we wrap things up in a few minutes. It's already a few minutes late, so I'll go a little bit past the half hour here. I do want to eat something tonight, and it is already almost 10:30 here. Another problem now is I wanted to do another member watch-along stream, but that's more of a problem if it gets interrupted in the middle because I have to stop the timer, stop the episode. So I might wait another week to see if things calm down or not, but I'm not expecting it at this point before doing another one of those streams. I think this is definitely at least a better angle this time. Actually, hold on. I can move this a little down so you can see the full thing better. I think it migrated up my desk a little bit as we've gone on without me noticing. That's that. Got there. There we go. Got the button. We can get this pouch done, I think. We have time. A little bit wider. That's fine. I'm not going to worry about that too much. There we go. That'd be fun. At some point, I definitely want to get art made, whether I do it myself or have somebody else do it of my characters in the Girls Und Panzer, outfits or whatever. That'd be fun to do at some point. Also, I do have these are my Earth characters. There are 5 of them, and there are 5 main characters, from the Anglerfish team. So there would be I could draw them, cosplaying Girls Und Panzer characters one day. Whether I do it or whether I hire, an actual artist to do a proper fan art. But definitely an idea that I've considered at one point or another. So, go. Keep a little bit of the skirt pleats here. We got decently far for just an hour. So, we are coming up on time. Where is my eraser? This one should be a little longer. There we go. Actually, that could be a little lower. Maybe. Oops. There we go. No, those water bottles were not mine. Those were my neighbors left them in the shelter. And I just didn't feel like moving them to take a quick picture. So I usually bring one in there, but I'd bring this orange one. Can't see it that well. This is my standard water bottle that I would bring most places when I go out. But if I remember, I'll bring it down with me. Just it's not terrible to have water if you're there for 20 minutes or 30 minutes sometimes, since it is a little bit stuffy in there. This is kind of where the sleeve ends. Got the company. I think it definitely is fun to see how far I've actually managed to progress, even though there's still a long way to go to, get more decent at this. But it's fun, and I'm enjoying the process and enjoying being able to do at least a little bit of it here and there, even if it's mostly with direct references. But that's fine because I'm not. Like I said, my goal is not to become a professional artist or anything. Even if I wanted to, I have too much else to work on to do that. But it does help, to have another creative outlet, I guess, beyond just my books and obviously the videos, which are pretty simple, but I get to be creative with them too. Like you see with this new one, I get to be probably most creative with any video that I've done so far in terms of format. I guess outside of my April Fool's video where I had to go on site to film in the anchovy costume. Oh, actually, it should be a little bit. I'll fix that in later on. But yeah. Okay, well, yeah. See, I'm going to be signing off in about another minute or two anyway. Yeah, I realized I actually should have made the coat a little bit longer. I forgot it was. It doesn't end at the pouch here. So we'll fix that coat, and then we do the skirt sections off stream, and then I'll probably just, I don't know if I want to keep going beyond that. I'll see how the week plays out. Like I said, I have been enjoying doing multiple day drawings where it's like 10 or 20 minutes each time, and then doing that so that way I could maximize my use of the sketchbook. Save it for a little longer until I get a new one, because I have maybe about 20 pages left in here at this point, I think. Of course, this line is being difficult right at the end. Alright, it's good enough for here, and it's kind of goes around a bit for the curve of the shape there. Okay, just place this. I'm going to do that lower down. I think that brings us to about an hour now. We got pretty far actually, especially with a more complicated outfit than we had when we did Mika. Also, it's a little bit larger size because I it started off with a bigger head, I guess. So, so I think that'll do it. I think we hit a solid hour. Thankfully, no interruptions. As interesting as it might have been to hear on the stream, we fortunately did not get anything, so that's better. Yeah, I know it's weird occasion to realize how long I've been doing the channel at all, because it feels like not that long ago. And that one video went viral, and then I started making actual videos, and now here we are. So yeah, so that'll do it for this. Like I said, hopefully, I'll do a watch along at some point next week, and obviously I'm gonna still hope to fix my issues with the Dream Tank match and get my computer reclone itself to the old hard drive to get all that stuff back and get used to working again, so I can emulate it that functions properly, as I can do those streams again because those are also fun. And I still have some missions I haven't beaten yet that I want to finish. So I hope to do that near future. I have to coordinate, but things are a little bit hectic right now, obviously. So yeah, let's try to move it in a better spot so you can see it. Oh, it is kind of upside down in the end. But I changed the direction of that. All right, here. Let's rotate this. There we go. Thought I rotated that way to start with, but I guess not. Yeah, I know. I'm gonna keep failing that. At this rate, Consuming Plastic's gonna get there before I do, because she actually gets to play the game sometimes, and I haven't played it in like a month or two at this point. So I thought I meant to do that to start with, but I guess I forgot. So anyway, thank you for coming. Hope you enjoyed the stream. Like I said, glad I didn't have to interrupt it for anything urgent. And yeah, hope you have a good rest of your day. And there will hopefully be a new video this week. Probably that long Yamato one, like 20 minutes long, assuming I don't get copyright claimed. I hope not, because the format will hopefully make it a little bit safer from that, but we'll have to see as I finish it and then upload it and see what happens. But the plan is for a new video on Thursday. So, yes, Shader is waiting. It's revving its engine, waiting for me to come back. So thank you again, and have a good rest of your day, afternoon, evening, etc., wherever you are. And yeah, until next time. Sorry, yeah, coming in right at the end. ADHD over there. But yeah, the VOD's obviously still here, and I will hopefully do another one of these, if not next week, in a couple weeks. I'm trying to do at least every 2 weeks to a stream, especially with these. They're pretty chill and easy to set up now that I figured out my area a little bit better here. And yeah, so that'll be it. So